Looking at the ravaged, torn-up fields, once rich and fertile, we knew right away this enemy wasn't your average nuisance. According to local villagers, the one leading the charge was a massive hog, weighing hundreds of kilos and mean as hell. Without hesitation, we set out with one goal in mind: track it down and restore peace to the people. But the question hung heavy in the air. Would our experience and teamwork be enough to face down this monster? Follow our hunting crew as we take on one of our toughest missions yet. At the crack of dawn, after a quick strategy session, we moved into position. Each member took up their post, locking down every vital trail, every path those wild hogs might use to escape. The game was on. No matter how cunning they are, wild boars are creatures of habit, always sticking to the same beaten trails between feeding grounds and cover. As soon as the beast stepped out from behind the brush, I squeezed the trigger. One shot. Boom! Clean, precise, professional. It dropped instantly, never even made it to the tree line on the other side. For a true hunter, victory doesn't come from brute strength. It comes from a mind that knows how to read the game. The sun was beating down hard as we moved up the hillside. We knew the heat would drive the prey into thick brush for cover, and that's when our four-legged partner truly earns his keep. The moment a dark shape broke through the bushes, I squeezed the trigger. A burst of shots tore through the air, loud, sharp. Finally, the beast went down in an instant. Our teamwork isn't just from training, it's forged from hundreds of hunts, moments where life and death were just heartbeats apart. The calm didn't last long. The hounds picked up the scent again, their barks echoing through the hills. Everyone froze, breath held, waiting. Then, out of nowhere, it came charging from the base of the hill, straight at me. No hesitation. I raised my rifle and took aim. Boom! Boom! 2 shots. Clean hit. Dropped it on the spot. Danger was close, too close, but we hunters stand our ground. Every inch of this land is home, and protecting it from savagery isn't just our duty, it's a vow we'll never break. If that shot gave you chills, drop us a like. After hours of lying in wait, we had barely closed our eyes for a quick rest when the signal came through. The boar was roaming near the foot of the hill. Instantly, the team was on the move. The hounds did their job, flushing the beast from its cover. I followed its line of escape, steady and focused, then pulled the trigger. Boom! The shot landed square on target. One clean hit, no wasted motion. The animal dropped instantly. That single decisive shot was the result of thousands of hours of training, razor-sharp focus, and a heart that never flinches. The barrel was still hot when word came in from below. Our team had spotted the alpha boar. After an entire day of tracking, our efforts were finally paying off. I held my ground, ready to intercept. The ambush plan was set. We blocked both ends of its escape route. The whole forest seemed to hold its breath. The moment it stepped out of the brush, David swung his rifle toward it, and boom! A thunderous shot ripped through the silence, shaking the trees. Unstoppable, powerful, the beast's massive frame collapsed to the forest floor. Just when we thought the hunt was over for the day, we spotted another target, lurking dangerously close to the highway. From a distance, the hound's barks grew louder, pushing the dark, furious shadow right toward my position. I held my breath, finger on the trigger, waiting for the perfect moment. Then, boom! Clean, fast, decisive. The beast crashed to the ground, bringing the chase to an abrupt end. Remember this, if you're not a trained hunter, don't ever try to face these animals head on. Out here, the line between hunter and hunted can vanish in an instant. The Land Cruiser, heavy with today's hard-earned haul, rumbled down the trail on the way home. Inside each of us, a quiet voice said, "We're ready to trade sleep, strength, even face danger." Just to see the grateful smiles of the locals, knowing their fields are safe once again. Hit follow and join us as we write the next chapter of this journey tomorrow. For us, the battle against wild boars is endless. They wreak havoc year-round, regardless of the season. In the fall, when the leaves crunch underfoot, hunting presents its own challenges. But when winter arrives and the snow blankets the mountains, that's a whole different story. Each season brings its own set of obstacles, but the goal remains the same: stop these monstrous creatures. Today, join us as we experience both hunts and show you how we tackle them head-on. In the fall, when the forests don their new colors, the wild boars become most active, gathering energy for the coming winter. We set out trekking over the rustling dry leaves, determined to halt the destruction before it's too late. As the first rays of morning sunlight pierced through the leaves, my patience was finally rewarded. My rifle moved smoothly across the golden carpet of leaves. And suddenly, two dark figures, one large, one small, appeared in my sights. I held my breath and bang! The bullet struck the smaller one, bringing it down instantly. The larger one, in a panic, vanished deep into the woods. One shot fired, allowing the green shoots to rise again. What do you think of that shot? Let us know in the comments. Meanwhile, on the other side, the sound of barking dogs echoed loudly, signaling that the prey had been cornered. Without wasting a second, Liam rushed forward, heading straight towards the chaotic noise. In the blink of an eye, he reached the scene. He raised his rifle, locking his sights on the boar fiercely fighting for its life. Boom! The battle was decided in an instant. I waited with unyielding patience. Amidst the relentless barking of the hounds, a wild boar charged forward like an arrow, its eyes burning with fury. The gunfire echoed through the air, and the bullet struck its mark. The beast staggered, then collapsed. Hours of waiting, only to end everything in a single moment. In this wilderness, there are no games, just the hunter and the one who breathes their last. Autumn came to a close with significant victories, but the battle was far from over. Winter descended, bringing with it bone-chilling cold and snow blanketing the mountains and hills. The terrain grew more treacherous, but in return, every footprint of the enemy was etched clearly in the snow. After reaching our strategic positions, we split up into barricades along the snow-covered trail. Every eye was locked on the hillside, where the bare bushes offered the perfect hiding place for the boar. From a distance, a whole herd of wild boars moved in a line across the white snow. Paul quickly took his position, his scope sweeping across the herd before zeroing in on the perfect target. He held his breath. His finger tightened on the trigger. The boar staggered, then collapsed onto the snow, silent and motionless. The sudden gunshot sent shockwaves through the herd, causing them to scatter in panic, racing up the hill before disappearing into the distance. They could run, but they couldn't hide. The footprints in the snow would lead Paul straight to them. At the same time, the relentless barking of the dogs echoed from below the hillside, growing closer like the beat of a war drum, urging me onward. I immediately dropped to one knee, waiting for the wild boar to reveal itself. Suddenly, the massive beast charged straight at me. A mistake. I gripped the rifle stock tightly, facing its fury. Then, the deafening crack of the shot rang out, and the beast collapsed just a few paces away, its final breath dissipating into the air. The heart-pounding confrontation had come to an end. One shot, not to spread death, but to protect the peaceful homes nestled at the foot of the hill. Amid the biting cold that seeps into our bones, our patience was finally rewarded when a wild boar stepped into the crosshairs. Got it! But it still struggled to rise and sprint away. Without hesitation, I fired again, the shot finding its mark in the vital spot. The beast collapsed completely. The gunshot rang out, not only signaling the end of the hunt, but also bringing hope for a bountiful harvest east of the village. In northeastern Poland, every night turns into a fierce battle. Wild beasts have ravaged tens of hectares of crops, causing tens of millions of dollars in damage. Faced with this urgent situation, the government quickly deployed hunting teams to end the disaster. No stage, no script, only the sound of gunfire defending this land. The hunting begins right now. As the sun climbed higher, Nick's hunting team arrived on the scene. They quickly spread out, surrounding the entire field and tracking their target's trail. Before long, Nick and his team spotted a massive wild hog. They closed in swiftly, determined not to let the beast escape. The moment it appeared, gunfire erupted, just when it seemed the fight was over. Oh no! The giant beast charged straight at James. Decisive shots were fired in time to halt its attack. Their first hard-won trophy of the day was secured. No time to rest. The hound's barking quickly guided Nick's hurried footsteps forward. The wild hog came into clear view with every sprint. Without hesitation, a series of rapid shots blocked its escape route. Before he could even lower his gun, another figure appeared, and the gunfire continued. Now, only the fallen beasts remain on the lush green grass, testaments to the fierce battle just fought. One more part of the field is safely reclaimed. On the west side of the field, a wild hog was desperately trying to escape James' vehicle. These beasts are incredibly cunning, weaving and dodging to test James' driving skills. Without hesitation, he accelerated to keep close on its trail. Spotting the perfect choke point, a swift series of moves brought the beast down. Another hard-earned victory for the team. As the sun set, Nick's team decided to head back and gear up fully for the night hunt. By 6 p.m., they were already tracking fresh signs, spreading out to set ambushes across the field. Ten minutes later, a group of wild hogs gathered, unaware they had walked straight into the crosshairs. Nick locked onto the fattest one and squeezed the trigger. The sharp crack of gunfire echoed across the field. In moments, only scattered carcasses remained. Moving on to the neighboring field, the sight of wild hogs busy foraging came into clear view through Nick's latest binoculars. Without hesitation, Nick quickly picked the best position and angle to strike. Gunshots rang out, each hog dropping swiftly to the ground. Every shot was clean and decisive, just like Nick's determination, not giving a single beast any chance to cause more damage.
Hey, what you got there, bud?
Other ambush points were set up swiftly. Just minutes later, in the pitch-black night, sharp gunshots cracked one after another as wild hogs fell to the ground.
Hey, what you got, bud?
Hey, what you got?
Every corner of the field was thoroughly swept, no threat left unchecked. This field is now temporarily secured, easing the worries of the local farmers. The number of wild hogs taken down today stands as clear proof of an intense battle fought. Not everyone has the courage to face the bone-chilling cold, where every breath that leaves your mouth turns to mist. But for wild boar hunters, this is a familiar battlefield. It's not just a confrontation with a cunning prey, but a battle with the very limits of one's own endurance. It demands unwavering determination, a courageous spirit forged through years of experience. Join us on today's snow hunt to witness heart-stopping moments where the line between hunter and prey is drawn in the blink of an eye. David's team was assigned to guard the southern forest, and the bone-chilling cold today was both a challenge and a promise of a thrilling hunt. Following the familiar tracks of the wild boars, he spotted a dark figure looming ahead. Then, it suddenly stopped, pivoting 180 degrees as if sensing danger. A single moment of hesitation would mean losing the prey, and David would never allow himself to make that mistake. Not far off, James' team lay in ambush by the pine forest. With the eyes of a seasoned hunter, he anticipated the boar's movements, pinpointing where it might appear. And when it came into view, the wild boar moved cautiously, weaving through the trees. But in a moment of inattention, A single misstep into a deadly gap was all it took for James to force it to pay the ultimate price for this. We pushed deeper into the forest, the thick snow making movement more difficult, but we never faltered. From a distance, the wild boar charged out, moving as fast as lightning. Before I could even get a clear shot, Thomas' bullet had already pinned it to the snow, just as it made a break for the open space. No more steps, no more chance to escape. A perfect read of the situation, and a flawless kill down to the last centimeter. Do you agree? As the sunset made way for the darkness, a new battle began. After resting and refueling, we quickly hopped into the vehicle, armed with the latest night hunting gear, and headed towards the fields where the wild boars had caused the most damage during the day. The world through the scope is an eerie painting of shadowy figures. A whole herd of wild boars, completely unaware that they're being watched from afar. The infrared reticle locks onto the largest creature, the one calmly enjoying its meal. No warning, just a sharp crack of the rifle, sending the massive beast crashing to the ground, restoring peace to the field. The silence didn't last long before James' team received word of a target near the local cattle pen. This was a threat that needed to be dealt with immediately. James quickly locked onto the leader of the pack, the troublemaker. However, its thick hide proved to be a challenge, causing the beast to stagger but not fall. Instead, it bolted in a frantic escape. For the safety of the people, James was determined to hunt it down to the very end. It was late into the night, and that cunning boar had led us straight to its herd. This was the final kill before heading back. The way James locked onto the leader's head and took it down with a single shot showed the team who the real sharpshooter was. As the herd scattered, a volley of follow-up shots echoed, driven by the determination to capture as many as possible. It marked the end of a long, challenging day, but this conclusion couldn't have been any more perfect. A day of hunting in Oklahoma came to an end, a journey that spanned from the snow-covered forests to the vast, foggy fields of the night. For us, this wasn't just a hunt. It was a mission to bring peace to the farmers, to protect crops and livestock from the devastation caused by wild boars. But tomorrow's hunt promises to be even more intense. Hit that follow button and join us as we hold our breath through the heart-pounding moments yet to come. In the dense tangled forest, where sunlight barely breaks through, wild boars find the perfect place to hide. Every year, they destroy nearly 800 tons of crops, causing millions of euros in damage to farmers across Germany. Their numbers are rising rapidly, and so is their aggression, turning them into an urgent threat that can no longer be ignored. In response, Thomas and his hunting team are called into action, stepping up to defend both the harvest and the people who depend on it. But going up against a smart and dangerous enemy like the wild boar is no ordinary task. So, how do they prepare? How do they strike? The intense battle that follows will reveal everything. At the break of dawn, swift footsteps moved quietly through the forest, sealing off every corner, leaving no path unchecked. As each hunter reached their assigned post, they stood ready, fully alert for the battle to come. They didn't have long to wait. A pack of wild boars suddenly emerged, snaking through the trees, heading straight toward Thomas. The moment he caught sight of them, he squeezed the trigger, dropping one instantly. The rest of the herd scattered in panic, crashing through the underbrush. But Thomas wasn't about to let them vanish without a fight. Without hesitation, he signaled the other positions, determined to stop the intruders once and for all. From another position, Leon spotted a wild boar on the run, darting across his line of sight. Without hesitation, he took a single precise shot. The target dropped instantly. A clean execution, completing his mission with flawless precision. Moments later, gunfire echoed from all directions, signaling that more fleeing boars had been taken down. The forest, once tense with movement, now settled into a quiet calm, restored if only slightly, by each well-placed shot fired with purpose. Meanwhile, Thomas was still on the move, tracking every sign, following fresh traces through the underbrush. After a short pursuit, his sharp eyes locked onto a wild boar, hiding silently among a tight cluster of trees. He took aim with care, and with one swift, decisive shot, he brought calm back to this part of the forest. Indeed, the title of the team's top marksman is no exaggeration. Nothing escapes Thomas's eye, and nothing gets a second chance. After a productive morning with a solid number of hogs taken down, Thomas and his team returned to camp to rest and recharge for the next mission. By 3 p.m., they were already back out, this time positioned on the southern hillside. Thomas quickly moved into place, scanning the terrain with sharp focus. Suddenly, the bark of a hunting dog broke the silence, snapping his attention toward the sound. His eyes locked in just as a massive wild boar emerged from the brush. Without hesitation, a single sharp crack echoed through the trees. The beast dropped instantly beside a nearby bush. A swift, clean takedown, powerful and precise, like a warning shot for whatever else might be lurking. Pushing deeper into the terrain, Thomas's eyes never wavered from the mission. Suddenly, a panicked boar burst out of the underbrush, sprinting blindly across his path. The moment was there, and Thomas pulled the trigger without delay. It was over in an instant. The last animal lay still on the gravel, motionless. Another season's crops, and the people who defend them, had just been safeguarded. As the last light of day faded beneath the dense canopy, a wild boar stepped into Leon's sights. Just a few gunshots echoed through the trees, and the target was instantly neutralized. A clean, decisive takedown. The perfect ending before nightfall settled in. What did you think of that final shot? Was it raw instinct, years of honed skill, or both? If it were you, do you think you could have pulled it off? Drop a comment below and let the team know what you think. Your support keeps us going. Today's journey ends in a convincing victory. This success was made possible thanks to the close coordination between the hunting team, local residents, and government authorities. Every action taken was fully legal and carried out under strict supervision. We'd like to extend our sincere thanks to the warm support from the local community and the authorities here. Without you, none of this would have been possible. If you enjoyed the hunt, don't forget to share your thoughts, hit that like button, and subscribe to follow us on our next thrilling adventures. See you next time!
A thin morning mist still clung to the hills, but the destruction left behind by wild boars the night before was painfully clear. Cornfields torn to shreds, sweet potato plots ravaged like a war zone, and the livestock penned still in ruins. These beasts aren't just aggressive, they're cunning and bold enough to attack anything that stands in their way. In that eerie stillness, Thomas's team moved quietly, locking and loading, inspecting every round with cold precision. Their eyes burned with determination. They weren't just hunting, this was a battle to defend the crops, the land, and the peace of this community. By the end of today, will these monsters still have a chance to bring terror once more? The team made the call to move to the first battleground, the southern slopes of America. From high above, the open landscape stretched out before us, giving the hunters a commanding view of the terrain. There they were, a pack of wild boars clustered at the base of the hill, too focused on foraging to notice that danger was closing in fast. Bang! The first shot rang out, sharp and thunderous, a declaration that the hunt had begun. The entire herd scattered in panic, but it was already too late. Two more shots followed in quick succession, dropping two boars on the spot. It was a strangely smooth start. Could it be a good omen for the rest of the hunt, or just the calm before a much tougher storm? Pushing deeper into the dense forest, thick undergrowth began to limit our visibility. Then suddenly, a target appeared at a considerable distance. But that kind of range doesn't faze a seasoned hunter. Thomas quickly raised his rifle, took steady aim, and pulled the trigger. The first shot sliced through the air, sending the boar darting behind the brush in a desperate attempt to escape. But there was no escaping the second shot. Fired without hesitation, it landed squarely. The heavy beast rolled into the undergrowth and lay still. At the same time, in another position, one of Thomas's teammates had his eyes locked on a boar hiding deep in the thick brush. The moment it poked its head out, ready to bolt, boom, the shot rang out. The animal was hit, tumbling to the ground, not giving it a chance to recover. A second round followed instantly, sealing its fate. The prey was completely subdued by the hunter's pinpoint precision. What do you think of that shot? Drop us a comment and let us know. Leaving the hillside behind, the team took a short break to recover before moving on to a wide-open field, where the wind whispered through the dry grass. Suddenly, strange noises emerged from within the brush. Thomas, rifle in hand, stood ready, calm and focused. Moments later, a dark figure burst out at breakneck speed. Without hesitation, Thomas raised his rifle and fired. Bang! The first shot hit, but it wasn't enough to bring the fierce creature down. A second round followed immediately. This time, it was over. The beast collapsed, its escape attempt cut short by the marksmanship of a sharpshooter hardened by countless hours of ground training. Suddenly, the loud barking of the hounds erupted ahead, clear signs that prey was closing in. The team rushed toward the sound, and right then, a massive wild boar burst out of the brush, charging straight at Thomas in a full-blown attack. In that split-second moment of danger, a single hesitation could have turned Thomas into the hunted. But he didn't flinch. Calm and composed, he raised his rifle, locked on target, boom. A thunderous shot rang out, and with just one bullet, the raging beast was dropped before it could get any closer. The hounds were still barking in the distance, echoing from deep within the brush, clear signs that another target was still hiding. One of Thomas's teammates rushed in to assist, quietly pushing through the dry grass, following the urgent barks. Then in a flash, the target revealed itself. Crack! A single gunshot rang out, deadly accurate. The boar froze for a moment before collapsing in the underbrush, completely still. Now put yourself in that moment. Would you run, or would you stand your ground? Let us know in the comments below. After a series of intense encounters, the team gathered the hounds and began the journey back. Today's success wasn't just about stopping the wild boars from destroying crops and livestock. It was a clear testament to the sharp instincts, unshakable nerves, and expert skills of seasoned hunters. More importantly, every action took place within a designated, state-approved hunting zone, following all legal regulations to the letter. If you found this journey thrilling, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications, so you won't miss any of our upcoming hunts.
Wild boars have now become a nightmare for residents across Europe. They constantly invade and devastate crops. Despite repeated hunting efforts, their numbers continue to grow, forcing local farmers to persistently confront the problem. In today's video, join us as we follow Tony and his team on their challenging hunt. Let's see how it unfolds. Early in the morning, Tony and his team position themselves in a freshly harvested field, open terrain with no cover left for the boars to hide. Here, even the slightest mistake would let their targets escape. A massive wild boar suddenly burst from the tall grass, weighing nearly 100 kilograms and sprinting like a bullet. Without hesitation, Tony and his team immediately gave chase in their vehicle. After intense pursuit, he took careful aim and dropped the beast with a single well-placed shot. Emboldened by this initial success, the team combed through the entire area with renewed determination, leaving no boar unchecked. After hours of tracking, Tony finally pinpointed the lead boar's movement. Without delay, an ambush plan was set into motion. Each second passed in breathless silence. Boom! A crisp gunshot rang out the moment the target appeared. The boar collapsed less than a meter from Tony. Once again, his experience and composure secured him another prized trophy. Before he could celebrate, a strange rustling erupted from the distant dry grass. As Tony moved closer to investigate, a massive boar suddenly charged straight at him. With no time to hesitate, his fingers instinctively squeezed the trigger. Years of hunting experience paid off. The perfectly placed shot stopped a potentially deadly attack mere inches away. After an exhausting day of hunting, the wild boar population showed no signs of dwindling. There were simply too many. So Tony and his team made a bold decision: light operation. As darkness fell and the air turned biting cold, prime conditions for boar hunting, they located their first targets within minutes. Through thermal scopes, the boars stood out vividly, making them easy marks. In just a few hours, they eliminated numerous targets, dramatically thinning the local boar population. The hunt continues relentlessly. At this moment, we're pursuing a fleeing wild boar. Despite its surprising speed, I managed to adjust my rifle and fire in rapid succession. Near the tree line in the distance, another sounder of boars wanders while foraging. Sensing imminent danger, they immediately wheel around and flee in panic. But Tony, ever prepared, needs only seconds to lock onto his target. With surgical precision, his shots find their mark, dropping the boar with centimeter-level accuracy. As night fell, the wild boars emerged in greater numbers, and these were even bigger specimens. In a coordinated moment, Tony and his team unleashed a synchronized volley of fire. When the gun smoke cleared, the boars lay lifeless on the forest floor. From their strategically chosen firing positions, they continued eliminating targets with deadly precision. One shot, one kill. As the hunt concluded, though the hunt yielded a significant number of kills, the size of the fleeing herd made one thing clear. These operations would continue until the wild boar population was brought under control.
The cunning wild boars not only devastate crops, but also expertly conceal themselves in treacherous terrain, challenging even seasoned hunters. To confront them, sharpshooters must prepare meticulously and engage in a relentless battle. Will they succeed in halting the advance of these destructive pests? Join us to witness the thrilling pursuits and ambushes that follow. And don't forget to pick the hunt that impresses you the most. A perfect ambush unfolds with gripping tension in the dense forest. Thomas, stationed in his pre-designated hiding spot, keenly observes every movement around him. Suddenly, a herd of wild boars lumbers into his line of sight. Without hesitation, a rapid burst of gunfire erupts, taking down the two fattest beasts. The rest scatter swiftly into the deep woods. Undeterred, Thomas gears up for the next pursuit, determined to ensure none escape to wreak further havoc. Venturing deeper into the forest, Thomas spots the silhouette of a panicked wild boar fleeing. Aligning his aim with the target's frantic path, he pulls the trigger. The shot rings out instantly, and the beast collapses unaware. A precise, decisive strike, eliminating yet another threat to this land. At another location, the chase reaches its fever pitch. From his hiding spot, the sharpshooter quickly spots two wild boars charging toward him. He swiftly assumes a ready stance, aligning his aim with the prey's movement. A gunshot cracks, dropping one boar instantly. Determined not to let the other escape easily, he signals the blockade position below. In less than a minute, another shot echoes through the forest, and the final threat is neutralized, putting an end to the devastation caused by these savage beasts. Leaving the dense forest behind, we move to the thickly wooded hillside where the savage beasts are hiding. Nick's hunting team arrived early, deploying a tight encirclement around the hill, determined to let none escape. Just minutes later, a gunshot rings out from James' position, the precise moment a boar emerges from the thick underbrush. A perfect shot hits its mark, and the beast collapses on the spot, unable to take another step. At the same moment, a wild boar suddenly appears in Nick's line of sight. A rapid volley of gunshots rings out, finally halting the beast's charge. A split-second delay could have let escape. Thanks to that decisive strike, this land is spared another threat. On the hillside now, Nick's team is primed for the next confrontation. Nick is assigned to the blockade position. Gunshots ring out relentlessly from the upper positions as the cunning wild boar weaves through the thick underbrush, dodging a barrage of bullets. Yet, with a seasoned skill and steely resolve, Nick successfully cuts off the beast's escape route.